Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Championship Check-In podcast, a weekly look at the EFL Championship, the best league in the world, with myself, Benjamin Bloom, and EFL pundit extraordinaire, Sam Parkin. Sam, I've got some bad news to start with. Birmingham have just tweeted 1 hour ago. Birmingham can confirm manager Tony Mowbray requires medical treatment, which means he'll temporarily be stepping away from the on-site, quote, management of the club for a period of approximately 6 to 8 weeks. Not good.
No, and I suppose just look at the reaction of, the supporters of other clubs, invariably the ones that he's worked at, but played at as
that
well.
Includes me, yeah.
Yeah, played at as well. So some really nice messages, and yeah, just shows you that I think throughout his playing managerial career, even latterly, everyone seems to like Tony Mowbray. So certainly echo all those sentiments. Wish him our best. Absolutely, health is everything, isn't it? Family's everything. So football's very insignificant when someone's got health issues. What I will say, what a blow for Birmingham, on the football side, because I don't think me or you or anyone else who follows the EFL will feel that Birmingham have got anything to worry about this season with Tony Mowbray at the helm. But obviously that will be a little unsettling, and hopefully whatever unfortunately he's having to go through in his personal life, I'm sure he'll still have his ear to the phone if he's allowed to do so, and if he's well enough to do so, and probably provide a little bit of help in that regard. It's Mark Venus he's got with him, who I'm sure is a very able deputy. So yeah, absolutely wish him well and hope to see him back on the touchline. Yeah,
good luck to good old Mogger and Mark Venus. What a left foot, by the way. This round in the Championship, Sam, we're looking for a Parkin's pick from Friday night. It was West Brom 0, Southampton 2. Back on the horse. Leeds never got off the horse. Plymouth 0, Leeds 2. 8 wins in a row. Birmingham 2, Sunderland 1. Tony Mowbray's last game there before he steps away for a little while against his former club, and he gets the win. Bristol City 0, QPR 1. How about that, Sam Parkin? Hey, Huddersfield 1, Hull 2. Sam, I'm sure you're going to be hearing from our Hull followers once again this week. Mm-hmm. Leicester 1, Middlesbrough 2. Championship, everybody. Millwall 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Rub's chin. Norwich 4, Cardiff 1. In the derby in the Northwest, it was Preston 2, Blackburn 2. It's Rotherham 0, Watford 1. Yasser Asprilla, a bit of a thunder bastard in that one. Stoke 0, Coventry 1. And Swansea 1, Ipswich Town 2. Get your thinking cap on, Sam. I'm coming to you for Parkin's pick. Feels like a bit of a bumper week for good storylines. What are we going with this round?
QPR, obviously.
Again, yeah.
No, we are. I wouldn't say we passed by it last week, but maybe recording deadlines as such in the last few weeks. We're going to give some love to the unsatiable run currently being enjoyed by Leeds United supporters.
Right. What I want to do here, Sam, is let's. We all know what's happening. Leeds are on a magnificent run, so I don't want us to sit here for 5 minutes and just talk about how Leeds have won a lot of games. What I want to know, Sam, is how they've done it and why this run is occurring at this particular point in the season, and then we'll save a little bit about what might happen next because that might be featuring later in the show. But why is this happening now, this 8-game winning streak?
I think there's a whole host of ingredients. I think the getting to grips with the division probably is a fair point. I think the improvement in a number of the players, the units, the partnerships. The one problem area that I spoke of probably early part of the season in comparison to the other top sides, I didn't see Leeds' fullbacks maybe being good enough to carry them all the way.
Can I jump in there, Sam?
Go on.
January the 1st, first game of the run, Junior Firpo comes back. I know he was much maligned by Leeds, but a left back in the left back position. Still doing it with Archie Gray at right back, though. And in that defensive line as well, you've mentioned it a few times. Ampadu stepped back in the FA Cup on the 7th of January. Cruyff into central midfield.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think those points are all kind of in that kind of first few sentences that I went with. They're the specifics, aren't they, in terms of the changes in personnel, the growth in the performances of Cruyff. Rodon would be another one. But absolutely, those fullback positions were the ones I was a bit concerned about early part of the season when you think of Ayling, Byram, Shackleton. Of course, Gray's played a lot of football there. Maybe hasn't got... Sorry?
Spence played a couple of games, didn't he, as well?
And maybe Gray hasn't got the numbers that jump off the page, but I think invariably you're not going to have both your fullbacks joining in. What I think Gray does really well is that he's an excellent passer of the ball, incredibly clever. He can probably step into the midfield a little bit and keep possession and probe and pick the right pass forward. Nice relationship in the last few games with Nonto. What I'm trying to get onto is that Firpo is going to be more attack-minded and raiding down the flank, down the left-hand side, and 4 assists in 8 games. I think that has added a strand, maybe that 4 assists, I think. I don't know if it's going to be 8 games, sorry, but yeah, 4 assists in. I think he's only made 8 starts and 5 subs, so 13 appearances. So I think that has made a difference. And we've spoken here for 4 or 5 minutes without, I think I just mentioned Nonto's name, but we haven't mentioned the front players. And I think coming into the season, we were really excited, and that's certainly come to the fore in the last few weeks. And it's worth mentioning him again, Nonto, who obviously had his high-profile problems early part of the season, but now he's knuckled down. He's playing ever so well, and I enjoyed his relationship with Gray in that game against Swansea. And they got great options, and they got the opportunity to rotate. And despite Bamford, I think we'll see 100% off the bat when he started games this season since coming into the side. Not a disaster, him limping out in the warm-up or whatever it was at Swansea, because Piru is such an able deputy. So don't ask me how it's going to end, how it's going to go. It's worth flagging. I don't know if you said it, but they face no one in the top 6, have they, in this run? So you could say you would expect them to pretty much take care of business, but not in this fashion. You'd have expected a few points to be dropped. So yeah, they're going brilliantly, and it's difficult to predict exactly how it's going to go. But Southampton have got those trickier away games. I think 3 out the top 6 they got to face, I think, away from home. It's difficult to envisage it maybe not going down to the last couple. I won't build it up so much.
Build up round 46, please. Do it.
No, I'm not gonna do it, but yeah, I think it's going to probably go to the last 2 or 3.
Amazing. Can I just come in on the fixtures? And you did point this out a while ago, a couple of months back, if you listen back to old episodes, about the front loading of the hard away games for Leeds this season. So, yeah, don't get cross with us, Leeds fans, when we say it is a bit of a soft run, because you kind of earned it. And you're right, the teams faced in the streak. Well, let me talk more about the teams they'd already faced. Before this streak started, they'd already gone away to Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich, West Brom, Norwich, Hull, Preston and Sunderland, which meant that at pretty much the halfway point in the season, or one game after, they only had Coventry away remaining out of this current top 10. Now, obviously, that wasn't the top 10 then. So maybe they're kind of accruing a little bonus for getting a lot of hard games out of the way early in the season.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, the next couple of away games are Huddersfield and Sheffield Wednesday. So, you're going to, probably the 2 clubs in the division who want to beat you more than anyone else. Do you know what I mean? They're massive games, aren't they, in the calendar for both those clubs? given they're the predicament that they're in, I don't think it alters anything. They'd love to derail Leeds, and they desperately need the points, those two clubs. So, I mean, I don't know how to word this, but I mean, it's a big month for the Leeds fans as well. When you think there's Stoke in there as well and Millwall in there, there's some high intensity atmospheres that the Leeds players are going to have to deal with over the next 4. I've named them all. I mean, it doesn't get bigger maybe for the supporters than some of those clubs they've got to face. So it'd be about the players keeping their composure and can continue what they're doing. Oh, and Chelsea in the cup. I mean, it's like the full set, isn't it? Basically, Chelsea in the cup. I just noted down, is that a distraction? Well, I think Southampton go to Anfield, don't they? So
wow.
We'll see which one goes to the replay, and then maybe we can add that into the mix the next time we're discussing those two jostling up the top.
You said you were going to refuse to answer, so feel free to refuse. But Leicester, 9-game winning streak earlier in the season. Only 7 times someone has done more than the 8-game streak they've done. Charlton, 12 in a row in 1999. I remember it well. Alan Curbishley, Andy Hunt up front, banging in the goals. Where are you landing between equaling Leicester's 9 and Charlton's 12? And any comment on that, Sam?
I don't think they'll do 12. I think they'll maybe. I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? I think they'll maybe drop 2 points either Huddersfield or Wednesday. I'm not going to give you any more than that.
There you go.
I'd probably say more likely Huddersfield with a new manager, maybe.
And we're deliberately ignoring a Friday night shaped elephant in the room for those of you yelling at your computer screen or your phone right now, which we may be or may not be speaking about later in the show.
Shows you how tired I am, does it? Because I did know we were speaking about that, but I did forget it was this Friday. There you go. Cards on the table.
But fair play, 8 wins in a row in any division for any team is bloody sensational, isn't it? Speaking of sensational, let's talk about some sensational goals. Sam Parkin, scorer of many sensational goals, is Worldie of the Week time. Pretty good week, Sam. I've written down a handful of options for you. Do you want to fumble your way through and try and find us a winner? Your favourite goal this week?
I'll do you a 3-2-1. I think it was a good week, but I think there's a clear winner. I think you'll agree with me. I would say in third, I will go with Sarah at Norwich. It doesn't get over third because keeper maybe. I just think when it goes in.
Can I ask you, Sam, if he still had the big afro and hadn't cut his hair short, you would prefer that goal a bit? It just would have looked better, wouldn't it? Just
looks like he's got a bit more panache, maybe.
Yeah. Great strike.
I mean, if it goes higher, he's in the running for number 1 spot. But yeah, when it goes that kind of, what was it? It was almost in the bottom corner, wasn't it? Just a couple of yards up. Keeper maybe. So yeah, that's got to be higher to be number 1. But it's a beauty. Number 2, love Brooks's goal for Southampton.
Great goal, yeah.
His touch, yeah. I mean, and the passing, the move, the team.
How to murder a centre back in one touch, yeah.
Yeah. When they've got their kind of weight on that foot, and then the momentum's taking you forward as Brooks. But then you've got to get the right pace on the touch. It was a beauty. But yeah, for me, and I think he's been. I'm going to go for much maligned. I would feel over the last couple of years, certainly. In some of the reading that I do up on this club, Robbie Brady. Yeah, that's the best.
Can I just ask you? It feels so Brady, real angle curler, left-footed. It feels like probably when you first started, this type of goal wasn't scored quite as. It feels like a fairly modern thing. There's Thierry Henry bend from that type of angle. Do you agree with that, or am I talking rubbish?
No, I think they've been around, mate. I think they've been around. Yeah, I don't know. I thought you were going to say it was a magical set piece routine. I think I may have missed that. I think it's a brilliant goal because you have to get the curl and you have to get the direction. I probably said this earlier in this season when we've done this little segment. It's got to be pacey as well. He puts a lot on that.
Did you see the
So
replay from behind the goalpost as well? How
yeah,
it
I did.
swings
Yeah,
back in.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the three. I mean, we've seen some. I'm going to forget now which was the beautiful curler we were talking about maybe last week or the week before. I have forgotten, but obviously Wes Burns is the one that jumped out early part of the season. There was a peach the other day as well, a curler.
Bowler?
Who? Sorry,
Bowler at Watford for Cardiff.
Don't know.
Left foot
Can't
in
recall.
swinger. Yeah.
Oh yes, it was. It was that,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah. Bowler. Sorry. Yeah. It was. So yeah, that one was, and that one the other day was a beauty because, like I said, he really spanked that as well. So great goal. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the 3-2. Was it the 3-2 you went for? No, I think I talked myself out of a 3-2 when we were talking.
I went
Preston
0-0.
Yeah, I talked myself out of it. I think I said to you it'll be 3-2 Preston. Then somehow I come round to giving you a 1-0. So anyway, Robbie Brady, well done, mate.
Robbie Brady is our worldie of the week for Preston North End. And we're going to lower the tone, Sam. It's cause for concern time. Oh, man, this is a depressing one because the Millwall fans are not a happy bunch. I was tagged in a brilliant thread, Sam, where someone had quoted my relegation theory that the four things, or a combination of the four things that generally relegate clubs, are lack of size, bad luck, chaos, and owners. And this Millwall tweeter was arguing that at the moment, all four are a problem for Millwall. They're sliding down the table, Sam. 2 home games at Fortress the Den. They've lost by an aggregate of 6-0, and Sheffield Wednesday beat them to pull them in further. Talk to me about a bad time at the moment for Millwall.
Yeah, it feels really bad, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm not going to go glass half full, but would you have expected them to get much more from the previous run of games? Losing against Hull narrowly, losing at Coventry, losing at home to Ipswich. In isolation, they're not disasters, in my opinion. I mean, and I'm talking from a place where I saw them play okay for periods against Preston. The only point granted in the last 7 games. Losing at home to Sheffield Wednesday, given the previous results, is a disaster. If that makes any sense. And I saw 4 gentlemen on the way to the Den on Saturday morning, and their young lad who was fully kitted up fell into me when the tube abruptly halted at London Bridge. And I said, you better look after him today. It's a biggie over the Den, isn't it? And they all just looked at me and went, got to win today. Got to win today. So, yeah, I thought it was a biggie. And I think the Millwall fans would have gone with that mindset that if it goes horribly wrong, this atmosphere could turn. And you could see with the goals going in, the reaction of the punters, it didn't look nice. Still, I this morning thinking about it, Ben, is this Joe Edwards isn't up to it, isn't a good manager, isn't a good coach?
I'm literally about to ask you that very question, Sam.
Or is this Gary Rowett? And I'm not going to do you should have stuck with him because that's not my style.
No,
you know that. But was Gary Rowett doing an okay job with what he had on that training ground? I would suggest he was doing all right. And my reasoning for that, and it's been consistent all along, and I think the last time we spoke about Millwall, I spoke about those facets that are missing still within that squad. And that is still my sentiment. And I think a few of the Millwall fans corrected me and said, Casper De Nore is that midfield controller to one of my points. And I would go some way to agreeing with that, having seen him a bit more now. Good player, need to build with him, in the next couple of windows. But that squad is miles short, Ben. Miles short to be competitive in the Championship. So I would lean on Gary Rowett was doing an okay job. I would still say it was a gamble to go with Joe Edwards at that stage of the season, but there probably needed to be a sea change in terms of the style and maybe the overall view on how things needed to be done at Millwall to progress long term. And they're going through a bit of pain at the moment. Listen, I'd say stick with him and hopefully he can garner enough points over the next few weeks for that pressure to be alleviated. But nothing would surprise me in football. And if we get to the last 5-6 games of the season and they still need a few points desperately, they could very well change again. Because I don't think any club in their right mind would want to. I saw Les Ferdinand talking about QPR the other day on a podcast, and I understood the merits of what he was saying. Dropping down into League One might have been the better thing for them in the long run, but I don't think business people would ever consider that, really. I think it's all about the here and now and staying in because of the finances. So, yeah, I hope he can turn it around, but, you know, both ends of the pitch at the moment, it's not looking great. I think they've scored, 2 or 3 in the last 7. That's clearly a big issue, something they're going to have to look at in the window in the summer, giving them a better goal threat, because still, in my mind, there's a lot more defensively minded players in that squad than match winners and creators.
Obafemi as a signing.
I do, but he's had an illness for 2 games, hasn't he? And I think, you know, you can see the predicament and the feeling around the place when they signed him at the back end of the window, and all of a sudden, even the press and even me going to a game with a few of my colleagues, this is a great signing. He's going to turn him around. He'll get goals. It's a lot of pressure on someone who's not really been playing consistently for over a year now. So I don't know if that's going to be a quick fix, but yeah, absolutely. He can come in and hit the ground running. But I think a lot of the problems still remain at Millwall from Gary Rowett's early tenure. Not good enough ball playing defenders to change the style. Not good enough ball playing midfielders. Not enough depth in the squad. And at the moment, clearly, quite a few kind of samey forward players. So they need to look at that. And hopefully Joe's going to pick up a result. You know, I don't know Joe well, but I know him well enough to desperately want him to succeed. And I knew going in, it's such a tough job. My uncle texted me on Saturday night and told me off for giving Joe a bit of a talk up. He suggested, I think I just said that he was a mate of mine, and I hoped he did well. But even my family members are giving me grief. That's how bad it's got in South London.
Can I just make 2 points? You don't have to follow up, but you might have something to say. The first one is obviously the tragic passing of John Berylson, who was just regarded by everyone as a really good owner, even down to the fact that nothing ever leaked out. You don't even know the contract lengths, and everything was so neat and tidy with him. And I feel bad in my heart that the first tough call his son has had to make isn't working out. And we've been around this topic before, Sam, of when you go from pragmatic, hard to beat football. Even John Eustace to Wayne Rooney, if that is not managed in the right way. The biggest disaster I ever saw was you took out Mick McCarthy from Ipswich, sold a couple of players, you had Paul Hurst come in, okay, there's other stuff, and all of a sudden this percentage football is trying to turn it into something completely different. Bottom of the league, one of the worst teams to championships. It's got to be managed so carefully, that transition. Those would be the 2 points I'd make. I don't know if you've got anything to say about either of those.
Oh, yeah, the owner, 100%. I mean, that could... But I think that did affect the place, 100%. I was there early part of the season. I was there when they unveiled the changing name of the road outside the Den. I was there, and massive turnout. I think 2:00 on the match day, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people out there. So I think that absolutely had an effect. Change of the manager as well, early part of the season, and a manager who, like him or loathe him, if you were a Millwall fan, like Gary Rowett, you kind of knew what you were going to get when you turned up there. You knew the style of football, you knew where their strengths were, you knew where their potential weaknesses were. So it's a massive change in probably whole culture. Even the signing of Adam Mayer from Morecambe, I think, in the window, that's very, people would be shouting at the screens now, but it's very unlike Millwall signing a 19-year-old. from League One, so League Two. Someone help me out. But you know what I mean. So yeah, I think there's been loads going on there, and maybe we're not privy to the conversations. Maybe it is, kind of an overhaul of quite a lot of things at Millwall going on behind the scenes, and I think it's probably necessary to kick them on, but they're feeling the pain at the moment. I mean, the reason I was quite optimistic when I walked away from that Preston game was quite simplistic. I've seen Millwall blow teams out of the water, and I've also seen Millwall over the last couple of years go into the lead, be commanded in early parts of games and then just fall away because they can't maintain the intensity of that performance. And I saw Joe's team recover in the second half after Preston had a 15, 20-minute spell before half-time, really good. Millwall came out in the second half and actually possessed the ball a little bit and probed and got that control back. And I've never seen Millwall have any control of games really in second halves. So I thought he was just probably trying to make them more rounded, more comfortable on the ball, but not so all out attack early and then right, let's hold this, let's go over the line by any means necessary. I saw a little bit of a different mindset from the players. So that was the reason I could kind of sense that there was a change going on. But obviously the last few results have been desperate. So Southampton next up, and then Watford, I think it is. They did the double over Watford last year, if memory served, because I spoke to a Watford fan at the tail end of last season who said that they were the team that impressed them the most. So not all is lost, but my goodness me, they need a result, especially the way that Wednesday and QPR are going.
Good chat, that Sam. We'll probably clip that one out. So if you are a Millwall fan,
no, I'd love to know like the intricacies, not like overly tactical, but what are they seeing in the last few games they're not happy with? Where's it gone wrong in this sequence? It'd be really interesting and for them to wade in on my thoughts, because my thoughts are probably based on the last 2 years of probably covering Millwall. I'd probably say I maybe do 6 home games a year and a couple of away games or so. So, it's a decent chunk. I've seen them, and my takeaways rarely seem to change.
Get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think on Sam's view, and let us know quite bluntly, would you make a managerial switch if things get worse? Moving on, Sam, and we're gonna revisit an old chestnut here for the meltdown moment. What is it with this guy, Mick Beale? He's just like the biggest magnet for trouble, isn't he? So this week, Sam, and we'll try and make light of it a little bit, but completely hapless day for Sunderland. They lost from a winning position against a manager that they fired 77 days ago. Since Mick Beale's arrived now, Preston have gained 3 points on them. Norwich 6. Coventry have gained 10 points on Sunderland since Beale arrived, and all have overtaken them. But the thing that was doing the rounds on social media is Trey Hume, who we've enjoyed, actually, the fullback there, young fullback at Sunderland, was substituted by Mick Beale. Went to shake his hand, and Mick Beale said he didn't see the substitute that he just substituted, and it's all a bit embarrassing. Storm in a teacup, Sam, or another kind of open mouth, put your foot in it from Mr. Beale, who's done this a few times now.
Yeah, he could have done without it, I think, with the last few weeks and months. I think he saw him first and foremost. So
the guy he just instructed to be substituted, you reckon, Sam?
Yeah, I think he saw the offer of a handshake. So I'm not going to defend him on that front, because once the hand's been offered, he probably would have been better suited to shaking it. What I will say, though, is unless that is a rule at the club, or that has been said by Mick Beale or his staff, that whatever happens on the field of play, when you get substituted, I want to shake your hand. If that's come from the gaffer and the staff, then I've got a big problem with it. I didn't want to shake the manager's hand when he's just taken me off.
Did any of your managers, if they were annoyed with you about how you played, did any of them give you the cold shoulder when you got
Of
subbed?
course they would have done. Of course they would have done. So what I'm saying is, I'm not sure I see the necessity for Trey Hume to search out the manager in that circumstance. And Mick Beale said he passed the fitness test. He's a great lad, and he showed great endeavour. It sounds like he had a pretty competent game. Okay, so all that aside, the team have conceded 5 or 6 minutes ago. You're on the cusp of another away defeat. Leave the manager to it. If I'm the player, so that's not in defence of Mick Beale. That's just
I understand.
That's my thought process playing out when I saw it. I thought, just get in the dugout. It's a little bit unnecessary. If you've scored 2 and the manager's taken you off to rest you for the Champions League game on Wednesday, of course, have an embrace. But I didn't see the necessity to go over to the manager. When you're losing in a game in a game where you're desperate if you're Mick Beale to take something. But having seen the footage and having seen him clearly, just shake his hand, if that makes sense. So that was my kind of player's perspective on it. But given the scenario at the moment, it's just added more fuel to the fire. They look, in the last couple of games, that kind of bit of swagger that had been recovered at the Stadium of Light has gone missing again. Thank goodness for Jack Clark and Romain Mundell. I think I've got that name right. I think he was a bit of a shining light as well. So those 2 lads, in this kind of slightly different setup, playing well. Lack of width, I've read quite a lot about. I don't think you're going to get an enormous amount from the 2 fullbacks. Clark obviously likes to come in field. It's probably something to do with the way they're defending. A lot of teams seem to be doing that, just narrowing up, and sometimes that can have a knock-on effect with your attacking play. But I suggest if you've got Mason Burstow up there, I've been seeing quite a lot of him, physical type. Yes, he can run down the side, but he wants balls in to go and attack as well. So they've lost a little bit of impetus that they gathered in those recent home games. It just feels like there's such an inconsistency. It's win 1, lose a couple, win 1. And what it does do, it puts enormous pressure on Swansea City visiting the Stadium Light next time out, because Norwich away, Leicester home, Southampton away, the following 3. I would suggest they do incredibly well.
Massive, Sam.
Yeah, I'd say 4 points from those 3. They'd be delighted, I think, with 4 points from those 3 games. So they got to beat Swansea at home. Otherwise, that fan base, they're teetering on the edge as it is. I mean, if they don't get maximum points against Swansea, again, I think the consensus would be he should go. Whether an owner and the hierarchy would be bold enough to make another decision is a completely different conversation. But I think the majority would say enough was enough if they lost that game.
Wow. Let's move on. And this part of the show, as ever, we're looking ahead, is brought to you in association with Match Bingo. Will be across whatever offers Match Bingo have got in the prediction show later in the week. But Sam, we need a mouth-watering matchup. Let's have a little look at the fixtures. Now, what we're going to do here, we're going to not pay heed to the 4 games that are occurring tomorrow night. We're recording on Monday. There's 4 catch-up games in this mouth-watering matchup segment, but we are going to do a little mini predictions there because Sam, frankly, needs all the opportunities he can to pull some points back at the moment. So we're going to look at them. That'll go in this show. And then we'll do the full predictions after those games have taken place. Because, and we need to say a big thank you, a massive viewership for Sam's double duty on the predictions this week. So thank you, everyone, for watching on them. Anyway, Sam, I've done the housekeeping. Round 34 this weekend in the Championship. We have bit of a playoff chasing clash there. Coventry, Preston on Friday night. Leeds versus Leicester. Hull versus West Brom is the Saturday mid-afternoon kickoff, middle of the day, excuse me. Blackburn, Norwich. Cardiff versus Stoke is Ipswich versus Birmingham. Borough versus Plymouth in the Finnazaz Derby. QPR versus Rotherham. Sheffield Wednesday versus Bristol City. Southampton versus Millwall. Sunderland, Swansea, which Sam just made mention of. And Watford versus Huddersfield. Sam, you got another few seconds when I press the button to have a think about it. Maybe give us some honourable mentions as we go to our mouthwatering matchup. Thoughts?
I was going to give you another QPR Rotherham shout.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Blackburn Norwich stinks of the 90s, doesn't it? You know, I'm a big fan of that. Cardiff Stoke's an interesting game, isn't it, for Stephen Schumacher, I would say, because all of a sudden you've got a game where they'd be expected to take something. If that doesn't happen, that could be quite an angry away support, couldn't it? Coventry Preston, another good one. Just teasing, aren't I? I mean, it's too far away to get into the maybe tactical here's and whats, but it's got to be Leeds v Leicester, hasn't it?
How good is this? So the narrative now, in fact, I'm going to bring the league table up to discuss this. Let me present the three outcomes and what they would mean in terms of our promotion race here. If Leicester go to Leeds and win, and I'll pose this as a question to you that you can answer in a minute, is that good night, Vienna, all done? Leicester confirm that they're going to be the champions as they go back 12 points clear. They would go on Friday night, obviously with Southampton still to play, Ipswich still to play at the weekend. Would that be the headline victory, ending the Leeds winning streak that puts the flag in the ground and says we are the best team in this league and we just proved it? If the game is drawn, do Southampton and Ipswich fans start all getting very excited saying, look, they've both dropped points, this never happens? If Leeds United win a 9th straight game to equal Leicester's record of early in the season, close the gap to within 6 points, do we, by God, Sam, start having a conversation of, hang on a minute, could Leeds catch the uncatchable machine that is Enzo Maresca's Leicester City? There you go. Hyperbole adieu. Go for it.
Just replay what I said before Leicester against Ipswich. Actually, don't, because I thought it could be on then, didn't I? I don't think it's on anymore. To be quite frank, I think it's probably been, as difficult a period of the season it was going to get for Leicester with injuries and players away and stuff like that. So they've navigated it pretty well, sat at their side. There's been some good consecutive victories within there. I think the cushion's too good, too strong, too vast. But yeah, I think a point or 3 for Leicester, absolutely. They are running away into the sunset, already celebrating. So I don't see it changing, even if Leeds were to get maximum points, is my honest truth. I'd fancy them to do so. Obviously went on, jumped the gun a little bit and spoke about those tough away games they've got coming up. But I think the Leeds fans will still inevitably create a great atmosphere. I think it'll be quite an intimidating place. And they did a real job on Leicester, didn't they, in their corresponding fixture? Played really well. Do you remember the goal scorer? Just had to look it up.
It was rooted, wasn't it? But from it was bounced down from a set piece, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. So I think probably the only team that will go to Leeds and dominate the ball, probably. Can't think of too many other teams.
Ipswich went there and tried to attack them and lost 4-0. So
yeah, so that's interesting in itself, isn't it? Tactically, how they set up. Do they play slightly cagier, Leicester, and maybe mirror a little bit what Leeds do, and hope that threat of the two wide players in particular could cause them problems. There's similarities in that regard. Really good wide players, directness. Midfield will be interesting, especially if Ruter is dropping off a little bit. you probably want to get around Harry Winks to a degree. Can Harry Winks dominate the game as he's done, pretty much throughout the season in the majority of the matches? I still think Leicester, maybe partly the reasoning for that defeat at the weekend was just a few little alterations, slightly different role for Dewsbury Hall. Dennis Pratt.
They missed some huge chances and got caught with a bang in the first half. It looked like one of those to me.
Yeah, Dennis Pratt getting a few more games, slightly different kind of personnel around the place. Obviously, Daka's getting a run now down the middle. So they don't look as strong as they did early part of the season, maybe in terms of the names on the team sheet. But I wouldn't be too deterred if I was a Leicester City fan if I'm coming away with nothing from Ellen Road. I think that the job is as good as done. But yeah, going to be a colossal game, and great that it's on a Friday. Looking forward to it.
Very, very much so. And as we're sat here right now, it's first against second. Of course, we'll get into our predictions. Southampton could sneak back past into second if we've got any Southampton fans getting cross with us, suggesting that this is the mighty kind of promotion decider. But remember, the Southampton fans have got to wait a while for their trip to Leeds, which we've been talking about virtually all season, happening in round 46. Leicester have slipped up against, I was just kind of thinking about it. They lost to Leeds, didn't they? They've drawn twice against Ipswich. Obviously, they beat Southampton, Sam. I think did you do the game for Talk Sport early in the season?
Yeah, that was the start of the Southampton run.
And it was a bit of a mess, that game, wasn't it? Where Leicester scored after like 15 seconds or something ridiculous and went on and just got stretched.
Yeah, Leeds had Cooper in the side that day.
Oh, I'm talking about Southampton Leicester.
Southampton. I did both those games. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I thought you did. Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah, around about the same time. So that was kind of the end-ish of the Southampton run, bad run. And they were torn apart. Yeah, they were torn apart pretty much down to the inability to play out with cohesion, and Leicester just swarmed all over him, and the second half created a few one-on-ones as well. So yeah, there was a few interesting tussles between the kind of heavyweights during that period of the season, but they look so different now.
Sam, all those teams look so different. Need a signature victory? Because I heard a stat, and it's something ridiculous, like Leicester against the bottom half. I hope I'm not getting this right. I probably will get it wrong. Something like they've got 49 out of 51 points. So they've played like 20 games, drawn 1 and won 19 or something like that. Do they need a signature win? If they can go to Leeds and beat up on them, win by a couple of goals to kind of really solidify this, or does no one care if they score 100 points and win the title?
No one cares, I don't think. Why would you? No. Internally, those lads have played like hundreds of games in the Premier League, the vast majority of them. So they're not caring. I think it's great on the night and great for the supporters, I think. But the reality is, when you're kind of turning up at home against Bristol City, there's still a degree of pressure on that, and getting those points are equally important. Not being complacent in the games that people all expect you just to turn up and roll the opposition over, and they've done that so often. Just when you think, "Oh, is this the start of the blip?" No, they put someone to the sword, and I think that's what they'll continue to do, even if it, maybe decreases a little bit that gap, which it may very well do. It will do probably at the tail end of the season when the importance grows for second, third, fourth place, and maybe not for Leicester, because they're as good as done with the title.
Can't wait. Friday night. I'll be watching along, actually. So do come and join me if you're watching that one. We do that right here on this very channel. A massive, massive championship matchup. And like you say, Sam, these heavyweight clashes now, they're running down. Not many left between now and the end of the season. This could be brilliant. Let's move on, Sam, to player to watch. I've got a stat for you here to set this one up, Sam. Norwich City have scored 1.2 points per game without United States striker Josh Sargent. With him, their points per game is 2.07. Therefore, mathematically speaking, Josh Sargent improves Norwich City by 72%. And he is our player to watch. Talk to me about the big, powerful United States striker who scored 2 at the weekend against Cardiff.
Have we had him before? Might have had him as player to watch before.
Possibly very early in the season.
Yeah. May even have been the week he got injured, or the week. Yeah, might have been. I think we said it so much, and I've said it so often, probably during his absence as well, how important I felt he was to Norwich's chances of promotion this year. And yeah, I think he probably is their most important facet now with Johnny Rowe missing. Ashley Barnes, I think, in unison with him, I think they're a really good combination. Clever signings. And I said that Sargent I expected to go well this year because he's had that opportunity to bed in, and he had those periods where he's missing chances. And
well, they're playing him on the right wing as well, or the left wing or something like that, weren't they? And he was just begging for him to go down the centre.
Yeah, and he was a little bit mocked, wasn't he? Probably when he first come in. I don't know if it was from people that followed the club, probably people from the outside, more likely that he wasn't up to scratch just because they were really, really in the doldrums. So yeah, he's proven to be more than capable of smashing up the Championship. Brilliant run that he's on. I think 7 goals he's got since he come back in 10 appearances, 6 in 6. Yeah, and I really enjoyed the goals at the weekend, actually. The first one's a pretty tough finish. Comes to me on the half volley. And the second one, he reacts brilliantly. The first attempt's pretty good. Tries to steer it in the near post, and the reaction was great. Just slung his ankle kind of towards it and found the empty net. So he's massive. And I go as far to say now that I've got a bit of a fancy for Norwich now. And I know the performances haven't been brilliant, but now they're free scoring, and they're beautifully positioned there if they're going to get better, which I believe they will. And winning games at this stage of the season without playing magnificently, you take all day long. And I still think they've got another gear or two to go into. So, yeah, but ahead of that Blackburn game, Josh Sargent, one of the most important players in the division at the moment.
Yeah, you've answered the question I was going to say. He almost feels like the key man certainly in Norwich's promotion push, but in terms of that area, maybe the key man in that area.
You'd go Callum O'Hare, wouldn't you?
The thing is, I was just thinking about that. I just think Coventry have got more options to survive without, say, a Callum O'Hare. Whereas looking at that Norwich points per game stat, they ain't going up without him. They need him, it feels like, doesn't it?
And you're taking Rowe out of the concoction as well, aren't you? You know? So taking him out, that adds the pressure, makes it paramount that Josh Sargent stays fit and gets the goals. Otherwise, they won't make it.
And we'll round out on this thought that the Norwich fans will be hoping that if Josh Sargent fires them into the playoffs, that maybe in the middle of May, you might actually see Johnny Rowe back on the pitch, ready for those 2 semi-finals. Right. Here's what we're going to do, Sam. We are going to do a mini predictions. Okay, we've only got 4 games. We've got 4 catch-up games this Tuesday. What that does mean is we'll do the scores on the doors when we do the proper predictions for round 34 at the weekend. So I'm going to press this button, Sam. We're going to get right into it. You want to go first or second for a little quartet of Tuesday night games, Sam?
First, please, mate.
And Cardiff versus Blackburn tomorrow night as we're recording.
Ooh. Let's have a little look at the table. Live table. Yeah. I see goals. Probably a continuation of what happened at Deepdale the other day. And where was it? Carrow Road, was it? Yeah.
Yep.
I see a continuation of that. Blackburn in slightly more difficulty. So for that reason, I will go for a 2-1 away victory.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I will try and go opposite of what you're saying then. So let's assume that because there was loads of goals at the weekend, they'll batten down the hatches, and your mate Eustace now in at Blackburn will try and do that. So let's go for a low scorer, and I'm going to do it, Sam. I'm playing my 1-1 straight off the bat. I often play it on the first fixture, but there you go. Cardiff 1, Blackburn 1. And I will be at this game tomorrow night, Ipswich versus Rotherham. And you used the word complacent earlier. Ipswich cannot be complacent with this. If they're not, they should be able to get the victory over Rotherham. So I will, because it's Ipswich, let's go for a goal to be conceded. Let's go for it to be way more complicated than it needs to. Ipswich 2, Rotherham 1, Sam.
Yeah, I could see something in that. I just think, Rotherham at Ellen Road, it could have been, I think, a tennis score Daniel Farker went for, didn't he? Which I presume he meant one set, right? So like 6-1, 6-2.
Love. Deuce.
Love. Yeah, so I could see something similar happening, actually, to what you suggest. So I'm going to go for maybe an El Hamadi 1 or 2. Do you know what I mean? A night for maybe the new kind of recruits to shine. I'll go for a 2-0 Ipswich win.
And we are going to move you on, Sam. These two sides, unfortunately, came up against Leeds and Southampton at the weekend, and both succumbed to 2-0 defeats. We do like Plymouth at home, and Plymouth are at home to West Brom, where I assume Carlos Corberan will be suspended maybe after his bizarre red card.
Yeah, this would be lovely for Argyle to get maximum points. I think a point would be a decent enough result with the way the bottom of the table's looking, and this is the extra game, isn't it? This is the game in hand. So for that reason, I could see it happening. I'm going to go for a 2-2. You don't like it?
No, it's not that I don't like it. I do like it, actually. I'm just completely unsure on this one because we say this quite often on the predictions. I can see all three outcomes. I can see Plymouth being great at home and getting the win. I can see cancelling each other out and the draw. And I can see West Brom making their superior league position count. Being you've given some love for Argyle, and we do love Plymouth at home. Could Plymouth possibly lose 2 home games in a row, despite their really, really good home record? Not maybe without Carlos Corberan. I really do like your 2-2, actually. No bonus points, so we go because we're on a small round. So I'm going to do a double 1-1, Sam, if that's not completely boring. I'm going to go Plymouth 1, West Brom 1. And Sam, I've got to tell you about Tiger Tears. It's Southampton versus Hull, and you are making the Hull fans so mad in the comments, I tell you. But you've got to predict them to go and win away at Southampton, which I'm sure you're not going to do, and I'm probably not going to do either. So Southampton Hull. In fact, it's me first. So you have a little think about that because they don't seem to yell at me as much when I don't predict Hull are going to win. So I'm going to predict that Southampton are going to win because they're higher up in the table and at home and just bounce back well at West Brom. Let's satiate the Tiger Tears and go for a Hull goal. I'm going to go Southampton 3, Hull City. Let's give them 2 goals. No bonus points, but Southampton 3, Hull 2. Sam, for once, for the poor old Hull fans that watch our show every week, have you got anything nice to say for them?
Do you know what? I kind of fancy them to get something here, and
I
would have had the 2-2. I would have had the 2-2. So do you know what? Let me change. Can I have West Brom to win 2-1 at Plymouth after all that? Okay. I'm not going to have. There's no point in me playing another 2-2 because that's not going to happen. And I need points. I need maximum points. So West Brom to win 2-1 at Plymouth, and I will give Hull a 2-2 at Southampton. Reason being, I don't want to get grief off the Hull fans again. I don't want to have an egg splattered on my nut when I'm walking around Humberside. Have I got that right? I hope so.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give them the 2-2. I just think they had to get a brace from a centre half at the weekend. Was
Great
it not?
Last minute winner.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So those attacking players are going to do a bit. at St Mary's.
Okay.
They're going to cause a few problems, and it's they're going to prevail where Huddersfield just couldn't quite the other day.
Amen. So you can yell at me this week rather than Sam, Hull City fans. Right, that is a mini set of predictions. We'll do the full set later on in the week. And we are going to, the last segment of this podcast is going to be the week that was. So I think it is 15-11 to Sam. Is that correct? Yeah, 15-11 you're winning, Sam. So would you like to answer or ask first this week?
I'll answer first, please.
You will answer first, and you're going to answer a question from our lovely mate Fev, who you should go and follow on Twitter at Fev's Football. Fev's Football Analytics. Great Bristol City follow and provider of our devious questions now for 26 weeks, which is fantastic. Great stint by him. Right. Your question for Sam. Can you name the 4 scorers from the weekend whose first name and last name begins with the same letter? E.g. B. Benjamin Bloom. So can you name the 4 goal scorers this past weekend whose first name and their surname begin with the same letter? Would you like to see the results, Sam?
Oh, no. Would I like to see the results? No. I don't want to see the results. I've got one.
Let's have it.
Jordan James.
Yes. Of Birmingham City. Apparently that goal, Sam, was a goalmouth scramble where there were 7 shots in the scramble. How about that?
I might have 3, actually.
Stop it.
Sammy Smodics is one.
Yep. You've been a big proponent of him all season, Sam.
Let me think of some other games. Rotherham, no. That was a Sprilla, wasn't it? Think of some other games. Plymouth were where? Where were Plymouth at the weekend?
Home to Leeds.
Home to Leeds. Nonto and Ruta, no. Leicester as Worldie, no. Okay, so I think did Sam Silvera get one for Middlesbrough?
He did. That is 3 of 4. Very impressive.
I haven't got
One
another
more to
answer.
go.
I haven't got another answer. I'll just say Ilias Chair and just put it there.
Well, it's a very good answer.
Do you know what? I'll just put it there for Fevs. There you go.
If you'd said Connor Chaplin, which is because they sound different, the K and the Ch there. So 3 out of 4, Sam. You've put me on the back foot there. What's my question?
Right, hang on. Let me just get it up.
Bearing in mind, this is probably the last question we'll ever get from Fev, being you've just insulted his poor.
Yeah, I've got a friend of a friend who's a Bristol City season ticket holder.
Okay.
And my oldest boy had one of those days yesterday. He was just like, I want to wear a football kit. We were going to a party actually out for lunch. So he had like full socks, full kit on QPR away kit. So I just
amazing
took the opportunity to get the photo when we were kicking the ball about in the park and sent it to that aforementioned friend. And he come back with something like, I'm not used to winning QPR. Like selective memory forgot those 30 years in the top flight, Ben. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
These new age fans.
Let's
anyway.
all keep calm then, yeah?
Yeah. Right. Nice, easy one for you.
Okay.
Can you name the 4 teams who beat teams higher in the table over the weekend? So the 4 teams that beat higher placed opposition over the weekend.
Definitely QPR then, like you just mentioned. QPR won at Bristol City.
Yeah, I've done myself over there, haven't I? Yeah.
Yeah. And you also mentioned Middlesbrough, who won at Leicester.
Yep.
Norwich are above Cardiff. Ipswich are above Swansea. Preston and Blackburn drew. Watford are above Rotherham, so that's no good. Sheffield Wednesday won at Millwall.
One more for the full house.
Oh, and don't put bloody pressure on me. Birmingham 2, Sunderland 1.
Very good. I needed the. If I'd have just procrastinated a little bit more there.
Yeah,
I don't
you'd
know
have
if
got
that's the
that, wouldn't
right
you?
word, but I would have got that, wouldn't I?
You
It's a
would.
blow.
I will take
I'm all
the
about the
win.
listeners. I'm all about the listening experience. Do you know what I mean? I want it to flow. I don't want like that dead air.
And it does flow beautifully every week with you, Sam. And that's why we get such nice comments and 5-star reviews wherever you listen to your podcast. And you should stick one of those up. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Guys, thank you for your feedback. Brilliant figures on the double duty prediction show from Sam. So if we get a 3-game week and we've got the time, we'll try and do that again for you. In the meantime, get your views in the comments on anything we have said. And we will be back in the middle of the week, probably on Thursday, possibly, is when it will go up for the next round of predictions. Sam, last word, as always, from you.
Enjoy the midweek football, everyone, especially the Tigers.